This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's repair, we're going to look at this Troy Bilt Bronco lawn tractor riding mower. It has come in, one of my friends had it, was donated to him, to the charity or the nonprofit that his wife works for. And so what's happening is there's literally no power to the switch, or we're not getting anything when we turn the switch essentially. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm going to go through the whole testing process on it, but we'll see what it is, hopefully. And it's also got an oil leak. I hope it's just a lower seal and not a cracked block on this Kohler Courage. The cracked block will be on the bottom. The lower oil seal, well, we'll see if it's that. Hopefully it is, and that's a relatively easy fix. But we'll see if we can get going with it. And one quick aside, you see that my Element is not here. I have not sold it. It is just hanging out in another garage right now. I had some church people ask me to look at this Acura TSX for them after they got a bunch of money, after they spent a bunch of money and still had some problems with it. So that's why it's in here and not my Element. Just wanted to get that out of the way before we get started. For those people who like or who have viewed the channel for a really long time, the Element is still here. It's just not here right now. But either way, we'll go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to do some wire tracing to make sure all the safeties are working correctly, make sure we have a good ground, and then probably going to change the starter solenoid out. The starter solenoid doesn't work. Well, fuse is good. Tried the fuse already. We'll see what we end up having to do after that. So let's go ahead and get started with all of this. We'll get right into it here. So a couple of 3/8 will take off your starter solenoid. I had the pleasure of already having it taken off for me. It's sitting down here. It is the original solenoid to this tractor, made in 2014. Well, this one was made in 2015, but y'all get the gist. Orange wire is your safety switch wire. That has to be a continuity from the switch to the starter solenoid in order for it to work. So again, this is doing absolutely nothing when you turn the key. So I'm not sure if, like I said, if it's the solenoid or if it is something else in the wiring process. I pulled the ignition switch wiring off, probed the orange wire on the back side of this, and as you can see, we've got 0 ohms. Now, that's because I have the park brake down. Again, the park brake really is the only thing, and the blade safety. The park brake and the blade safety are the two items that will prevent this from starting. So when I pull the blade safety, this should open up. So that's open, right? And then when I pull the park brake, which I'm about to do now, well, I've pushed it down. That's weird. It did a little weird thing when I did that. But when I pull the park brake up, you see that opened, right? That switch opened up. So it's not that. Continuity is good with the safety switches, and the safety switches are working. We just tested that. The next thing I can test is the ground. We'll probe the green wire in here and just make sure that it's grounded correctly to the frame, which is right on the back side here, because this is a 4-pole because it's a little bit of a newer Troy Bilt. The older ones have a 3-pole that are just grounded to the frame when you bolt it in. So we'll try that out next. Let me go through a couple of things that I have done just to kind of narrow down wiring. The wiring on this looks good. You just never know. So I pulled the green wire here off of the solenoid, and just probed it from here to the ground, and the ground was good. So whoop, there it is, underneath the back of the tractor. The other two places, a couple other places that I looked. So I measured the continuity between here. It should be 0 ohms as long as the fuse is in. So that was good as well. I went from each probe here for the, from the positive battery cable to the solenoid, and then from the solenoid to the starter. Those continuity was good. And then I went from the this wire right here. I could go from the probe on the starter solenoid to the ignition switch, the red and white on the ignition switch here. And that was good. I measured to make sure this connector was good, made sure I had continuity on both sides of that, and we do. So given all of that, I mean, we don't appear to have any rub issues or anything like that with the wires or anything back here, unless there's some broken wires in this area. But as far as I can tell, we have all the ingredients that we need to start this thing. So what I'm going to do is change the starter solenoid out. That's just an easy, quick thing to do. Sometimes these things will usually click on you, but sometimes I've seen them just completely brick themselves and not even provide any voltage whatsoever to the starter solenoid. Or the starter solenoid itself won't throw any voltage to the other side. It won't even try and click. So what I've got to do here is take out, what are they, a couple of 7/16. And you unplug the green and the orange. And you just take this off. It doesn't matter what side you put it on, because all it is just a switch that opens and closes. So take that off. Take that off. And I'm going to see if I can find one. These terminals are a little rusty here, but nothing like crazy. So we'll see. I'll grab a starter solenoid, put it in. So I put the new starter solenoid in there, and you can see how it bolts up there. Again, polarization does not matter. Just stick the plugs in where they fit. Stick the terminals on where they fit. Just make sure that you can get it back here and bolt it up whenever you're ready to do that. So I'm just going to bolt up over there somewhere. So before I do that, I'm going to hook up hook the ignition switch back up, and let's see. Hook the ignition switch back up. See, this has got that forward and reverse thing. I've never had one of those go out on me, but something tells me that might be it too. Again, I don't want to throw parts at this, but again, I'm not completely sure. Let's see, where's my battery charger here? So, and I've taken, the seat safety is not a part of the safety switches that start this machine, but regardless, I do have it removed for the time being. I'm just going to stick this in. I hope this fixes it, because if not, it's going to be a little bit more of a troubleshooting, not a conundrum, but it's going to be a little bit harder here. Let's see if we can get let's see. Headlights. Okay, perfect. It's just the starter. She sounds loose though. I'll check the oil in it. I'll go ahead and mount all this up, put a battery in it, and we'll start it. See if we can get this thing started here in just a minute. Good. It's just a starter solenoid. The starter solenoid, it just bricked itself. They do that sometimes. It happens. This is the second one in about 3 weeks, maybe a month, that just complete dead on the switch. And usually they'll click when they go out. This one, like I said, was just completely dead. And so that's good. I'll mount that up. Well, I'll take and see what I can do with the engine here. Figure out where these oil leaks are coming from as well. I hope it's not a crack block. But it looks like I'm going to have to remove it regardless to see what's going on with it. So, I'll catch y'all when it's time to start this thing. Alright, it's got good oil, decent amount. I'm going to check to make sure that everything's free on the deck here too, because I may try and just try the deck if we can get it out here. Again, I hope this battery's strong enough, hopefully. Spray a little WD-40 on it too. Let's see. Needs a carb clean, that's for sure. Alright, let's bring it out. Loose mounting bolts, hopefully they're not missing, hopefully they're just loose. deck doesn't engage very well, either a loose belt or stuck tensioner pulley and carb clean. So what I would like to figure out first is where that oil leak is coming from. So what I'm going to do is pull the front mount off right here for the mower deck. I actually going to lower the deck down all the way. I've got to figure out why this deck isn't engaging very well. Let's see. Oh, I know why it's not engaging very well, because the blade engage portion of it's off of it. That would be why. Let me show y'all so that y'all... I'm surprised it's actually engaged the deck. You can see it's off of the little eyelet there, so I got to put that back on. I'll put that back on, take the front mount off, so that whenever I raise this up, the deck stays down, but the mower goes up. So, like I said, I just need to figure out, mounting bolt wise, what's going on here, where it's leaking oil from, and fix all of that. So I'm going to take this front mount off and put that piece back in where it needs to be before we move on. I'm going to lift, like I said, lift this thing up and see what's going on with it. All right, I think we actually got best case scenario on this. What I did, or what it is actually this oil drain plug here. I'll show you why I believe that is the case, because I pulled just a 5/8 gets the pulley off here, the double stack pulley. Look how clean it is underneath or above that pulley and where that seal is. That's pretty good. So I'm excited to see that. Again, I just gotta tighten up these mounting points here as well, clean the carburetor, and man, hopefully just give this thing a service and get this thing out the door. And should be good to go. So let me see what I've got to do there. In order to tighten these up, they're a little bit tricky because of how they are mounted on the engine. A lot of times I can just get a adjustable wrench in there to tighten them up, because you can see that it's extremely loose right now. I can usually get an adjustable wrench in there to tighten them up, and that seems to hold them pretty good. But I'm almost certain that's where the leak's coming from. It just leaks all over the bottom of the engine down here. I don't really see, there's a couple of seat marks up here where the sump gasket is, but I don't see really anywhere else that it could be leaking from. Hopefully, I think that this is, pretty sure that's where it's coming from, because if it was an oil leak from the sump or from the engine block, it would have been all over the bottom of that engine. So I will take and tighten that up over there. Oil level looks good. Oil is clean too, so that's good. Put the double stack pulley back on, drop it back down, and see what we can do with the carburetor. So I ended up having to do an oil change anyways. I think it was a little bit of fuel dilution in the oil too, but I broke this off trying to tighten it up. So don't try and tighten it up too tight, otherwise you might break it off. So I've replaced this. It should not be leaking anymore. I'm fairly certain that's the only place it was leaking from. The other thing I did was tighten up all the mounting bolts underneath. It was just a 1/2 inch. And so now I'm ready to take off the carburetor. This setup is a little bit more difficult to get off because of this bracket right here. You got to take off a few extra bolts in order to get this off. So wrong way. So got a couple 10 millimeters, and then these are half. And hopefully I can just pivot this down. Now I'm going to go ahead and take these off as well. The muffler bolts, and then this last bolt here should... I think I can get it without... no, I got it right here. Alright, last bolt. So that should allow this to drop, and that should be all that we need. Is there an 8 millimeter up top holding the top of the air filter cover off? And hopefully, as long as the seals are good, this thing just needs the carb cleaned on it. Because it's definitely not getting enough fuel. I'm hoping that it's just the fuel issue and not an air filter or air issue or anything like that. The fuel is off. I'm going to take the fuel line off. Okay, and this needs to come off too, I believe, for the... Actually, no, it doesn't. Just going to disconnect this from the back side here. And then this zip tie, we just need to break off. Well-made zip tie. Let's see. I should be able to just slide this off now, hopefully. Yeah. Choke. And then your throttle here. Let's see, the throttle's going to go like that. Make sure you do not lose this little plastic piece. I'm just going to set it aside so that I don't lose it. I'm going to take this over to the bench. We're going to take this bowl off and hopefully just get this thing nice and clean, put it back on, and then it'll be time to wash it. Time to take this off. I can smell the varnish and the stale fuel that was in here. Probably still is to a degree, but hopefully we can take this off. Alright, so see if I can sneak this 1/2 inch. There we go. Shaved off 1/2 inch wrench here. Pull this off. That seems to be working okay. We'll pull this off. And just like I said, just a little bit of varnish in here from what I can tell. Just at the bottom, you see that? So we'll just scrape that out with a wire brush. And this jet here probably just needs a little bit of help as well. See if I can pull off this. I may not have to. Needle and seat. Just grab a little bit of carb spray. What I like to do is just take one of these jet cleaners here, stick it in there. Get everything nice and clean around the outside of it. And then get a little carb spray. Hopefully there's enough in this can. That's pretty good right there. There's really not much to these carburetors. Everything seems nice and tidy there. Like I said, probably just needed a jet clean out. And then clean out the bowl here as well. Let that sit. Wipe that out. And y'all saw how I put it back out, or took it off, so I'll go ahead and put it back together. Hopefully everything will be good on it, and it'll run a lot better. So we'll see that here in a few minutes. That gasket right there, let's see, might have a little something to do with it, but I don't think so. I think it was just varnish and stuff in the tank, or in the bowl, and that jet had gotten a little clogged up. Go ahead and put this on again. I've already put this back on it, the little lever, or the little plastic eyelet there, and we'll slide that in. A little spring like that. Then we'll grab the choke arm. Hopefully this gasket on the back side will seal up alright. Like I said, I think my issue was the running issue with the jets and stuff. So hopefully that is all that it is. I'll go ahead and put the fuel line back on as well. Trying to open up the fuel line before I had everything put back together there. That wouldn't have been good. Okay. Slide that back on, a couple of 10 millimeters. Right there. The 8 millimeter up top. Okay. Oh. Alright, so now what I could do before I put all this other stuff on, I might actually put these back on just so I don't have to mess with a hot muffler later. Alright, so let's see how she runs. Let me open this up. Let some fuel flow. She's got fresh oil, carb clean, new starter solenoid, and let's see if this will run like it needs to now. may just do the same thing with that carb there and drill the jet out just a little bit and get it a little bit more fuel. One other thing I can try here very quickly is make sure that gasket's not leaking. Still a jet issue, so I'm gonna, like I said, take that jet, drill it out just a little bit. I think it's just a little bit off, or just still a little bit clogged. Sometimes they don't like to run well. These things are so fine, you gotta like tune them. They're so fine tuned. A lot of times they're run right on the verge of, you know, being too lean all the time. So I think that's what's happening with this one. And so I'm just going to go ahead and pull this carb back off. Do exactly what I just showed you all in the last video, except take a micro drill bit set and drill the jet out just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of this. Get it back on, see if I can make it run a little bit better. Alright, so what I did, that jet that I showed y'all earlier, I just used it was about a 10 or 11 thousandths micro drill bit, and drilled it out. Just made sure that the jet was nice and clean as well, and that seems to have done the difference. Good, so I'll put everything back together now, and I think we'll be all good to go. The float was stuck in the open position whenever I started this, so I'll go ahead and put everything back together here. Might turn the gas off just as a precaution. And put the air filter back on, and then we'll test everything out since I believe I've fixed the deck situation as well, so we'll find out if I fix that also, and just see if we need to do anything else with it. I think we're very, very close to you know, just pumping up the rest of the tires and washing it and being ready to send it on to its new home. Alright, let's see if it'll run for us. Cut grass and everything. I did have to put a level the deck using this front guide, and then on the left side over here, those are your lift points for these, and I had to put that guard on. So let's see if these blades work any better now that I put that cable where it's supposed to be. going to get my yard prepped to get all my pine cones and stuff out of it, and I'm going to cut it, and I'll let y'all watch me cut it. How about that? Alright, so next morning here, ended up wrapping everything up on this. Ready to go. Kind of surprised at how easy this one was to fix. I was thinking that I had a cracked block or something. But I will say this much. So this is a 2015 model year. Around this year, they ended up depowering these. Or lowering the horsepower rating from a 20 to a 17, and just like they did with the ponies, they went from a 17.5 to a 15.5, at least for a few years. These lower horsepower Kohler Courages I've really not seen issues out of, which is a good thing. Don't really see cracked blocks or anything like that. Although this one was trying to vibrate itself off of the frame, I've tightened that back up, so it's good to go again. But, and we had to clean the carburetor. The new oil outlet there, drain plug, fixed that issue, so we're good there. And then gave it a good cleaning, and y'all can see it's still a little wet, but it looks great for what it is. So, put the hood back down. I would say that this is a low-hour machine, but then I also see the wear kind of on the edge of the tires here. But these are like the really soft compound tires. Again, like I said, this is when Troy Bilt really started cheapening up on their stuff, unfortunately. But they're nowhere near as cheap as they are today still, though. It seems like they just keep getting worse every year. But everything's good on it. I'll crank it up and just give y'all a little bit of a test just to show you everything works good. Y'all saw me cut the grass with it, so it should start right up. So as you see, it runs great. It does seem like it has a little bitty stumble whenever you're got the blades engaged, but I don't know if it's a small air leak or if it's just something with that carburetor. I put a shut-off switch on it as well, just because it felt like there was a little bit of fuel in the oil, but that could also be from where if they were using it and had carb issues that they were running it on choke for a while and started diluting the oil that way. But you know, it works just fine. It's in really good shape. So this one's not necessarily my mower. I fixed it for my friends who work in nonprofit. I think the mower was given to them. The nonprofit just got a property, and so this is going to be used to kind of fundraise for that, to get some of their items that they would need for the property. So like I said, I'll still get the repair cost of what it cost me to repair the machine, but I will also give whatever the value of the mower is minus the repair cost to them for that. That being said, this mower is in really nice shape. I'm going to list it for $700. Usually I'll list these for around $650, but this one's in nice shape. Doesn't seem to have a lot of hours on it as well. and so it should bring that extra 50 bucks. With the way that the rain has been here lately, this should sell pretty quickly. I may already have a buyer for it. I'll see. But if not, I'll list it and it'll probably sell within 48 hours or so. But it's ready to go. Again, the Troy Bilts, they are what they are. They're a lawnmower, right? They, if you keep them up, they'll work okay, but, most of these is kind of like if you look on Facebook and see, like, the Ultima memes and big Ultima Energy and stuff. It almost feels like these Troy Bilts and, like, the yard machine equivalents are kind of like the big Ultima Energy of lawnmowers. They just get bought and just trashed. And luckily this one's a good example, but there's a lot of examples that I see that I don't really show you all on camera. I've actually got one down there that's a Murray that is just completely trashed just because they're low-end riding mowers. People can get into them for cheap, and they just use them until they just don't maintain them or anything. But this one has been relatively well maintained. It is fully serviced and ready to go out to the next owner. Thanks again for watching this small engine repair as we got this Troy Bilt Bronco ready to go, and I will catch y'all on the next video.